Okay, hello everyone. This is our video about the solution for the companies Hayflow who produce two kind of um, infusion product, right? So, in order to solve the first problem, we will divide by different steps. For the full course methods product, the first step you always have to draw the diagram for the production process. So be careful here, we mention a diagram not only for production, but we have to cover for each step from the time that the companies buys the material until the product uh, will be sold to the customer, right? So the first step, the diagram, in this diagram you see that the company purchased the fresh plant. Here we note that there is no stock because when they buy the fresh plant, they immediately to put in the workshop sorting and drying. In the workshop sorting and drying, we see the 25% of weight loss due to the water evaporation. After that, we have a semi-finished product. It means that's the dry planks. So we have to store it, and after that, it will be used in the next workshop. Number 2 is the packaging. As the packaging, the companies put the dry plant into the bag and after in the tin. After the workshop 2, all of the finished product will be stocked before they sell it, right? So you can see here that's the process of the companies to produce product, right? So now we come to the step number 2. We will calculate the cost of the raw material purchase, right? In order to calculate the raw material purchase, we divide by 2 because we have 2 types of product. So we need to calculate the cost of the raw material product by each product. So now we focus the first product is for slimming, the lali product, right? In order to calculate the raw material purchase cost for the slimming fresh plant, we will calculate the full purchase cost, the first step, right? And then we use the weighted average unit cost for the inventory. Of course, here we know that there's no inventory, so we don't have to use the weighted average unit cost, but I still put it to so you can see that what's happened. So now we know that this is for the total purchase cost, so it should be the direct price plus the allocated indirect procurement cost. It means that's the indirect cost for the procurement center. So here we have the calculation like this. For the direct material cost, we know that the unit here, unit driver here is a kilogram of fresh plant purchase. So we have a quantity, we have a unit cost, so we have amount of, so the total amount should be quantity multiplied by unit cost, so we have a 45,600. For the indirect procurement cost, your cost driver is a kilogram of fresh plant purchase. So we have a 1,200 multiplied by unit cost. So we can see this information from the table 1, the indirect cost that we have here. The indirect cost table. It means that every single kilogram of the fresh plant purchase, the company have to add on €2 of of the indirect cost. So you can see from here that now, and in order to, so we can after that we have a total purchase cost should be, the quantity here should be 1,200 because we don't jump like 1,200 but only 1,200, and we use the total amount divide by quantity, and we have a unit cost of total purchase cost is $40. 40 euro per kilogram. So now we have the table number 3.1. We have an inventory worksheet for the fresh slimming plan. But in fact, as I mentioned at the beginning, we don't have the stock, so we can use directly. The cost is 40 euro per kilogram. In fact, in the exam, you don't have to put the beginning inventory, but here I put 0, so you can see that. Yeah. So now we did the same for to calculate the raw material purchase cost of the fresh plant for the relaxing the product, right? So we do the same methods. The first one, we calculate the total purchase cost by adjust the direct price plus the allocated indirect procurement cost. And in the second step, you can use the weighted average unit cost, but here we don't have a stock, so the price will be the same. And we use the 25 euro per kilogram is the cost used for materials consumed in production. So here is the table number 2. So you can see the purchase cost of fresh relaxing plant. Yes. And table number 3, you see the inventory worksheet for fresh relaxing plant. So now we don't have the beginning inventory is equal to 0. If you have a inventory, so you have a beginning inventory plus the purchase, so this is the total quantity available for consume or producing in the next step. The amount so divide by the quantity, so have a unit cost of 25 euro per kilogram. So we will finish our first step to calculate the cost of the raw material purchase for the releasing the fresh plant. So now we go to the step number 3. We will calculate the cost of production at the sorting and drying workshop for the two types of dry plant, slimming and relaxing. In this section, we will learn how to calculate the cost to produce dry plants from fresh plants and then check their movement in inventory. So now, first we always focus on the slimming dry plant first, right? And after that, we do the same for relaxing the dry plant. The goal here is we to find the total cost of turning the 1,200 kilogram of fresh plants into 900 kilogram of dry plants. So you will ask me where you can find the information about the 900 kilogram of dry plant. So now first we will look at the next table before we go back. We mentioned about the waste loss in the drying process, right? So you know that in the drying and sorting and drying, we have a waste loss of the 25%, right? So now, how we calculate the waste loss? The formula in is we have the gross weight should be equal the net weight plus the tear weight, right? So the tear weight here, it means that the amount of the weight have been lost by the evaporation of the water. To find the weight of the net weight, in our case, the weight of dry plants after the sorting and drying, we can rearrange this formula, right? The net weight should be equal the gross weight minus the difference between the gross weight and the tear. Now let's apply this logic directly to our plant drying example. The net weight, this is the weight of the final desired product, which is the output weight of the dry plant. So in our context, we don't have this information, so we go to calculate it. The gross weight, this is the initial total weight, which is the input weight of the fresh plant, right? And the tail or the tail weight, this is the weight of the part that was removed, which is the weight lost from water evaporation. So now we will use this logic to calculate our output weight. It means that the kilogram of the dried plants. So as you remember that the company buy 1,200 kilograms of fresh with a water heavy blend and they put immediately into production. So they call it the input weight or the gross weight. If we review the process at the sorting and drying the workshop, the drying process causes the water to evaporate. The waste loss rate. The fresh plants lose 25% of their waste during the drying process, so that creating the semi-finished dry plants. In order to calculate the waste loss there, we will use the total kilogram of our input weight. The fresh plant here is 1,200 kilogram multiplied by 25% of the water loss. So we equal the 0.3 kilogram water loss or 300 gram. So now we will calculate the output weight. It means that the weight that we can observe dry the plant. So you are left with the 900 kilogram of lighter dry plants that equal 102,000 kilogram of fresh plant minus the weight loss of the 0.3 kilogram. So we have a 900 kilogram of dry plant. So I hope that this is clear for you of how we can calculate the output of the kilogram of the dry plant that was produced in this step, right? Okay, so after that we follow the 5 steps to calculate the cost of production at the sorting and drying workshop. The first step, we calculate the direct material cost. It means that the cost of the material fresh plant used in this production run. The second step, because we will calculate all the direct costs, so here we calculate the direct labor cost. In order to calculate the direct labor cost, we have to multiply the labor workforce cost by how many hours as produced in this workshop. This is the cost for the workers directly involved in the sorting and drying process. The step 3, we calculate the allocated indirect cost. This assigns a share of the factory's overhead, like rent, electricity for the workshop. To this specific production run, the rate will be taken from the table 1, the indirect cost table, where the cost driver for the indirect cost in the sorting and drying center is a kilogram of fresh plant processes. So you will use a calculation 1000 kilogram of fresh plant process multiplied by the cost driver unit of 6 euro per kilogram. So the total amount is 7,200. Just we continue to calculate the total production cost. This is the sum of all costs incurred to produce the dry plants. It means that we have a 4,800 of the first step for material, 2,400 for the labor cost, and 7,200 for direct cost. So in sum we have a 57,600 here. So now we have 57,600 of the total of the production cost in the sorting and drying workshop. So now we will calculate the unit cost of the dry plant after this workshop, right? So here you can see that the quantity for the first column is the dry the material, the direct labor is the hour, and the the allocating sorting and drying is the kilogram of fresh processed. But our final product as the sorting and drying workshop should be kilogram of dried plants produced. So we already calculate the 900 before. So now we have a unit cost to be equals the total amount of 57,600 divided by the quantity, the kilogram of dry plant produced. So we have a unit cost is a 64 euro per kilogram of dry plant produced. So we'll use this to calculate the cost of inventory in the next slide. So now here is the work in progress inventory worksheet slimming. So in general, when we want to make the calculate the work of inventory, so we have the sum of the beginning inventory production should equal the total available wood for consume in the future, right? So here for the quantity we have at the beginning we have a 40 euro, 40 kilogram, and we produce 900. So the total available should be the sum of the beginning plus the production. So we have a 940. Here we have a unit cost of beginnings that given in our context is a 59.30 euro. So that's the reason why you can see that you will have the amount of the beginning is 2,372. We move the cost of production from the our last calculation is a 64 euro. So here we have a 67 and 600. So now the total available cost of the available cost will be the sum of 2,372 plus the production cost 57,600 equal 59,972. And in order to calculate the cost of inventory cost available to you, so use the amount divided by quantity is a 60.80 euro per kilogram, and we will this is the new average cost per unit for all available inventory. So this calculation, this cost per unit will help you to use in the next step, right? So you do the same for calculation the cost of production in 5 steps for the relaxing the dry plant. So you find that the unit cost of the 1 kilogram of dry plant should be the 4 euro per kilogram. And here how you can calculate the kilogram of dry plant. So as we mentioned before, we will calculate the output should be the difference between the kilogram of fresh plant minus the waste loss, right? So we use the 25% of waste loss. After that, we also do the same to calculate the inventory cost available for you of the relaxing dry plant by 3 steps. The first step, we identify the beginning inventory and new production. So we have a beginning inventory and we add production from our table before. So in the step 2, you calculate the goods available for you, and by 2 steps. The first, you calculate the total quantity, and the second, total amount. And the step number 3, you calculate the weighted average cost by the total amount divided by total quantity. So now you can see that the cost of the inventory of relaxing the dry plant will be 44.50 euro per kilogram. So you will use this to calculate in the step number 4, and calculate the cost of production at the packaging workshop. So we will see you in the next slide. Thank you and hope to see you soon.